Hi guys, Dave Belcher here, Technical Director of Forsaken Studios. I'm here to give you a video update on the development of Embers of Caerus. So as I hinted at in our community forum, sorry, there's an errant dog behind me. Anyway, so as I hinted at in the community forum, this update's got a mixture of unfortunately bad news, sad news, some good news, and some great news. But first of all, I'm going to have to start off with a couple of apologies. First of all, I've got to apologise for the delay in the release of this development update. This has been for a couple of reasons, not least because I'm currently in the middle of packing up everything I own, ready to move out to Dallas, Texas, so I haven't had much time to do this update myself. And also alongside that, there's an apology relating to the amount of community interaction we've been giving over the last couple of months. This is linked to the sad news. The sad news is that our current community manager, Thradok, is unfortunately having to step down from his duties. But that's kind of linked with some good news because he's found himself a great new job, but unfortunately that means he hasn't had as much time as he would like, or as we would all like, for him to be able to interact with the community, to plan our weekly releases, and to work on the monthly newsletters. So it's sad to see him step down from that position, but thankfully he's not going completely. He will be sticking around as the lead moderator, so you'll still see him around on the community forum, and you'll see it. And you'll still be able to interact with him through there. So he's definitely still being a part of the team. He just doesn't have the time to commit, and the amount of time that you, our community, deserves. So along with that, we have some good news. So stepping up and taking the place of Thradok, we have a new community manager, and that's Sam Carbo. Some of you may know Sam, as he's the owner and founder of Hammer, which is a great multi-gaming and other random stuff into that community. He also runs the Hammer, which is a gaming podcast, and they also have Torocast and a bunch of other great podcasts, so you should definitely go check out their stuff. I've done numerous interviews with them over the last year, maybe, covering all aspects of the game. They always ask great questions. They're always very excited to hear the information I can give them. So definitely go check out some of those. The last podcast I jumped on with them, which was their most recent Hammer, I did actually go into a bit of detail around what I'm going to be discussing today, and they asked some great questions about that, and just to hear a slightly different slant on it than what I'm giving you right now, definitely go check that out. So I guess I should go into the bad news first. Actually, to frame the bad news, I need to tell you a bit about where we're at with the development and where we're at with financing. So since the Kickstarter, we've been working on our prototype, obviously, and we got to the stage where we were speaking to investors. We spoke to numerous investors, and all of them loved the idea of what we were doing. They thought it was fantastic. They thought if we can pull it off, it's going to be great. But alongside that, they also gave us lots of good advice, and they also, ultimately, with investment in video games, the money right now is in all the free-to-play games. It's in the World of Warcraft clones, and because ours is neither of those, because ours is potentially a very niche market, because ours isn't going for that high-profit free-to-play model, we're seen as a much higher risk as far as investment goes. So even though they love the idea of what we're doing and think it would be a fantastic game when it releases, it's also too high risk right now. But this doesn't mean it's not investable. What this means is the prototype that they need to see to be able to be reassured to invest in the project needs to go somewhat further than a prototype for another more mainstream game might need. So what we have right now isn't enough to gain that funding from them. They have all said to stay in touch, and to when we have more specific prototypes of some of our core game systems that set us aside from everyone else ready, we can go back into those discussions and see where we're at then. So this left us in somewhat of a tricky situation, because we're at a stage now where we're going to have to pay again for the next round, or the next phase of licensing for the engine we're using, the Havoc Vision engine. And because we were unable to get this investor funding, it means we're in a situation where we can't pay for that licensing right now. So this left us with a couple of options. The first option was to obviously get that investment. The next option is to look at alternative methods of funding. So this would be going back to Kickstarter or something similar, getting more crowdfunding. And then there's a third option, which I'll go into in a minute. But this is where we're coming from with the exploration demo. So the thought was, if we can take our prototype, and from that we can create a playable prototype to release to the community, this we have hoped would be enough to show what we've been working on and to get people interested and excited about what we're creating. And off the back of that, use that as a launchpad for a second crowdfunding campaign, and through that be able to raise the funding we need for the next round of engine licensing. But as we were working on the exploration demo, and as we were discussing it with the community, both the Platinum Club and the Open community, it became apparent that actually what we were being told by the investors is just as valid for the rest of the community. Just as we can't expect the investors to invest in a higher risk project like ours without these in-depth technical prototypes of the core game systems, likewise, if we want to ask people for money through a Kickstarter, they should really have access to things like a combat demo. They should have access to some of the core game systems. So not just a beautiful, it definitely is a beautiful scene to run around and explore, which has some of the game systems such as the dynamic weather and dynamic time of day and all that stuff. You guys deserve more. If we're going to earn your trust, and we're going to earn the money that you're going to invest in our project, we need to show you a lot more. So because of this, we actually went back to the drawing board a little bit, and this has been an ongoing process over the last couple of months, which is why we've been quite quiet, because we have been slaving over the exploration demo but also working on this alternate plan. And we basically realised that now we need to work on these quick prototypes, which unfortunately means we can't get that Kickstarter funding that we need right now, which means we're back to square one, requiring money for the engine licensing. So after going back and forth for a while, and after discussing it with Havoc, what we've decided to do, and what we're going to be doing in the short to mid-term, is we're actually going to be moving across to Unity as our short-term prototyping engine. Now this is definitely a temporary move, because Unity doesn't have a lot of the features that we need to make Embers of Caerus what it's intended to be, such as the scale of the world we need to create, the graphical fidelity, a lot of access to the lower level engine APIs that we need to actually really to build the game we're trying to create. But what Unity does give us is free access to an excellent engine that we can use to rapidly prototype these game systems, and to build these self-contained chunks of game system which we can then push out to the community straight away using the Web Vision API. We can just throw this stuff out to you guys. You guys can see what we're working on, and through that you can see how it's all going to come together. And then once we have all these solid prototypes showing and demonstrating the various different game systems, then we'll be a much more investable by the major investors. But also, if we do a crowdfunding campaign later on, then you guys will have a lot more understanding of our ability and of the actual game systems we're putting together. It's all going well as discussing it through podcasts and through development updates and through posts on the forum, but until you get your hands on it and really feel how those systems are working and interacting with each other, we can't really expect you to fully understand the vision, and we can't expect you to take that leap of faith into investing in our project. So that was the bad news and the sad news. The good news is obviously that we are moving across to Unity, but this means the great news is that we're going to get a lot more smaller prototypes out to you as soon as possible. This will start out with a mini version of the exploration demo, which is just to get that stuff out to you, because we know you've been waiting a long time for that exploration demo. So just giving you a scene. I can't remember how big it was. I think it was around 30 square kilometers maybe, I don't know. But we're working on a much smaller game scene, which we're going to put a village in there and a little bit of exploration. Put that out to you, but then we'll start being able to rolling out things like the pre-alpha tavern, getting some networking in there, pushing out things like combat demos, showing that, throwing out like AI demonstrations, UI demonstrations to show things like crafting systems, all of these little chunks of the game that we're going to put together and throw out to you, and we'll be able to get immediate feedback and do fast iteration. Now, there are the smart ones of you are probably thinking, well, if you're jumping to this new engine, then doesn't that mean you're starting from scratch? And when you move back to the Vision engine later on, doesn't that mean you have to start from scratch over again? But actually, there was a long decision process that went into deciding on the Unity engine. And some of the great things about that is the Unity engine makes use of a lot of the same middleware. So all the art assets, for a start, will be able to be transferable. All our textures and everything will be transferable. We have access of algorithmic substance, which will allow us to do the smart dynamic texturing stuff we want to do. The networking is based on RackNet, which is the same as the Vision engine. So all the server side of the code, which is actually the biggest chunk of the game, will be completely transferable. We'll have to obviously rejig some of our kind of scene intelligence part of the server code, but for everything else, a lot of the core systems will be straight transferable back to Vision. And yeah, a lot of the other game systems and everything else, the biggest things that need transferring are things like the scene development, so the world building, and the actual client code, so things around the graphical side of the client and client logic. But once we prototype those, it should be pretty easy for us to port that back across. It will be a job of work, but we definitely think the short to mid-term benefits we're going to get from moving to Unity is going to outweigh that little bit of pain we'll have to go through to move things back. And also, alongside that, Havoc have been fantastic, and even though they can't provide us with support, and they can't allow us to release the exploration demo because we don't have licensing for that, they will still let us continue working with the Vision engine in a small capacity, so that we can have a couple of guys still working on the main terrain, so we can test game systems to make sure they're going to work in Vision as well as they're going to work in Unity, and do a lot of stuff. So there's a very low risk there, and it's all just work we'll have to bear later on. But it's definitely, we feel, worth it in the short term. So yeah, so this is the big news, and this is where we're at right now. We've run an internal game jam just to get everyone up to speed with the Unity engine. There is still going to be a bit of a learning curve for the guys on the Unity engine. Thankfully, a lot of the guys on the team do have prior experience of the Unity engine, so this will allow a lot of the guys to get up to speed really quickly. But the beauty of the Unity engine is that it is very quick and easy to get to work with. So we'll be able to get some early demos out to the Platinum Club very soon, and from there start rolling out to the wider community, and go through this quick, iterative, rapid process of prototyping just to get these systems out to you. Just to forewarn you though, they won't have the same graphical fidelity that we were aiming for with the Vision engine. They will be rough, we want to get things into your hands as soon as possible. So we will put them together, we will give them to you, we will get feedback, and we will iteratively improve them up to the point where we're happy that we're all, that's us as developers and you as a community, are happy with these systems, so we can roll them back into the main game later on. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I don't want this video to run on too long, so I'm going to cut it right now. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to discuss them in the topic on the forum, which will be opened by now. Send in a support request to ask any questions you want. Email me directly if you would like. And yeah, just share your thoughts, share your fears, share your hopes. Let us know what parts of the game you really want to see, and maybe we'll use that to prioritise some of these prototypes. What are the parts of the game which you find a bit confusing, because maybe those would be good things to prototype, so we can help you understand just by demonstrating how they work. Just let us know. So yeah, so that's where we're at right now. We're currently working hard on our first couple of prototypes. We'll keep that as a surprise for now, which ones they are, but we'll get those out to you as soon as possible. Please everyone make Sam very welcome. He's a fantastic guy, and he has great experience working with communities. He has some awesome ideas, and all he needs is your support. So please give him that support, and yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to get our community back to the bustling, happy place it was not so long ago. So yeah, so I'm going to call it a day there. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry if I prattled on for a while. It's pretty big news, this move to Unity, but like I say, I hope you're going to be happy with the prototypes we'll be able to put out. I apologise again for us not getting the exploration demo out to you in the way we previously promised. I apologise for the lack of releases we've had recently and the lack of community interaction, but hopefully you can see that there's been good reason for that. And I hope you're all excited as I am to see what comes out over the next couple of months. So thank you very much, and I will speak to you all again very soon.